Huge day of racing Saturday at the Big A Cigar Mile. 6 stakes on the card and the mandatory payout of the Empire 6 carryover. 20-cent minimum, 20% takeout. That carryover will be over $550,000 on Saturday Cigar Mile Day. Best way to play the Empire 6, best way to play all the races everywhere is to play through Naira Bets. We'll match them to a $200 deposit. Use the promo code Big A. 6-race sequence starts off with race number 5 on Saturday. It's one of 3 maiden races on the card. In race number 5, they're going a mile. These are 2-year-olds, and you're going to have to make decisions, obviously, and it always comes down to how much you're willing to spend. I think one horse that has to be in your ticket is the one Default Rate for Chad Brown, who finished a solid 3rd behind the talented Baravia. The 2nd place finish in that race came back to win the next start. After that, I would use the 4 Mischief Afoot. 1 and 4, my 2 main horses. The 2 Tapage maybe can redeem himself from his poor performance last time out. And then perhaps you want to look at the 9 Orifice, who's going out for Mark Hennig, the Dam Grace Hall. You probably remember a very, very talented runner. This is her first foal. Maybe the 7 Jewelstone, a long shot. 1-4, a little 2 for me. And then maybe you put some others on there, once again, depending on how many tickets you play and how much money you're going to put in. Race number 6, the Go for Juan. This is the biggest favorite in the sequence and on the card in general. And we're looking at the number 3, Spice Perfection. This is Spice Perfection winning the Thoroughbred Club of America at Keeneland back in October. She was very good this day, actually. She's normally towards the front end, and she didn't break, and she negotiated her way through traffic, and this was a nice victory. She's far and away the best horse in here, and the other situation is she is the controlling speed in a race that has absolutely no pace whatsoever. Many people will be leaning on Spice Perfection, and I can't blame them. It really, once again, and this is going to be a constant theme, comes down to how much you can spend. Because I do think horses like the 4 Another Broad, who ran very well, going a mile and 1/8 last time out, Seguro Rose coming off her best career start, the number 5, and the number 6 Hour Supernova is in great form. Her last 2 races have been terrific. I don't think they're impossible, and here in Spice Perfection has to get the mile. So yes, lean on Spice Perfection, the 3, but any of the 4, 5, and 6, you may want to have them on backup tickets somewhere. For me, I'm going to look to play multiple tickets, and I would be backing up with others. But the 3, Spice Perfection, probably the most likely winner in the entire sequence. Race number 7 is problematic, the 3rd leg, because it's a 12-horse field, and only 4 of them have ever started. So there's a lot of guessing to be done, and you're not going to get any information from the tote. You're going to have to use the number 10 Trash Talker. Trash Talker is the only one that's run, and Trash Talker comes off this 3rd place finish in what, in my opinion, was an extremely weak maiden race. And also, Trash Talker was helped by being forwardly placed on a track that was making it very difficult to make up ground. So while I would use Trash Talker because I wouldn't want this horse to win in the Empire 6 and have not used him and then have the other 5, I'd feel very foolish. I think that he's a very good horse to bet against. The question is with who? The number 6, Hedonistic, is a horse you could use, a 2nd-time starter that cost slop first time out, cost $420,000 as a 2-year-old. Didn't really handle the track and raced greenly in that race. Could run better for Greg Sacco. John Velasquez has the mount. I think the 3, Quixotic, a first-time starter, could be a little bit interesting. And the 11, Ego Man, who's a 2nd-time starter as well, who ran at Parks. 3, 6, 10, 11 is my best guesses at this point, but this is a very tricky race in the sequence, and you're going to probably want to have as much coverage as you can afford. As we move into the last 3 races, all stake races, and the Demoiselle race number 8 is a war. 11 runners in this race, 12 entered. I have to imagine I Dare You, who ran on Thursday, will be scratched. We'll take a look at Median winning the Tempted, and Median has been very good for Mark Hennig in her last 2 starts. She's gotten good trips in these races, but she's made the most of them and run very, very good races. She's well posted towards the inside, so she doesn't figure to have to lose ground on either of the turns, particularly the first one. I'm going to use her. I don't love her in this race. I'm not thrilled overall with the Tempted, but I do think that she is in a lot of ways the horse to beat. The question is, who else would you be using here? I think you want to use the 5, Alondra, for Shug McGay, who won nicely in her debut at Saratoga, and then she came back, and things didn't go right at Keeneland. She didn't really get left in that race, maybe broke a step slow, but unlike the speed she showed in her debut, she found herself at the back of the pack, and she actually closed some ground to run a reasonable 3rd behind the eventual Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly winner, British Idiom. You've got to use the 5, Alondra. I like the 10, Daphne Moon in here, a bit of a price player. Ran very well to break her maiden first time out, early August at 7 furlongs. Nothing went right for her in the Frisette when she didn't break. She got caught behind a fairly moderate pace in a track that was kind to horses towards the front end. I'm going to give Daphne Moon another shot. 2, 5, and 10 would be my main horses in here. The 9 Blame Debbie doesn't seem impossible, and the 6 Critical Value, a New York bred, has been running very well. Not an easy race. You're going to have to find some places to use more or less horses, depending, once again, on your bankroll. The 9th race is the Remsen. This is for the boys, the 2-year-olds. They're going 1 1/8 as well in here. And Forza Deorro is the morning line favorite, I believe. I think he's a terrible morning line favorite. I also think he can win. The problem with him is he's the kind of horse that people are going to say that he passed some sort of eye test in his races. The problem for me is he didn't pass the fast test. He's just slower than other horses in here. And while I would want to use him somewhere in my tickets, I don't want to make him a major player in here because I don't know that he's fast enough to win. I think Todd Pletcher has the 2 fastest horses in the 1 Chase Tracker. I just worry that Chase Tracker may not get better with distance because he was not finishing in that tough Nashua where he finished 3rd, but I thought he should have been 2nd. And I probably prefer the 8 Alpha 66 of the 2 Todd Pletcher runners on the outside. His debut was better than it looked with a 4-wide trip trying to close into a slow pace, and he won. And then he just wasn't quite up to it against Tis the Law and the Champagne, but didn't run that badly. Horses like the 6 Shotsky, not impossible. The 4 Aja Weed, I didn't love his race at Keeneland, and he had a perfect trip when he broke his maiden, and maybe he didn't run that much better than Forza Deorro. He beat by 4 lengths because Forza Deorro got left, but I think you have to use him as well. And even the New York bred Cleon Jones, not impossible. Not an easy sequence, and these races are wide open, and then we get to the Cigar. Now, there's probably a lot of people out there that want to single this horse Maximum Security. None of them are named Andy Serling. On the other hand, I'm the idiot that picked against him last time out, and this is what he did. But he actually had the absolute run of the race. While he's drifted a bit off the rail here, he rode the rail for much of the race, and the rail was gold that day. And you'll see it with Tail of Silence coming up the rail to finish 2nd and running the best figure he's ever run before because he was right down in the gold rail. True Timber didn't run that badly. The thing is that Maximum Security got away with a woefully slow first quarter of 22 and 4, and he turned into a 5 furlong sprint with an advantage. I have to think with this horse in here spun to run, he's going to get more pressure on the front end. And while if you look at the time from US Pace Projector, it has it as a relatively moderate or even pace with Maximum Security leading the way, I don't know it'll be the case because the way Spun to Run was ridden in the Dirt Mile, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, I don't think they're looking to take prisoners with him. It's clear the connections feel that speed is his advantage, and I think once again he'll be ridden out of the gate, and that could present some problems for Maximum Security. Obviously, Maximum Security has to be on your tickets. Probably Spun to Run should be on your tickets because he's suddenly turned into a new horse, and he has run faster figures than anybody in this race has been able to run. The question is, do you love these horses and do you want some others? I want the 2 Bal Harbor for Todd Pletcher, who I don't think handled the slop last time out in the Fayette, and his race in the Woodward is good enough to win this race. I don't love Pat in the Back, though his race in the Kelso gives him a chance. I did not like his Empire Classic, but he's not impossible. The 2 Chad Brown runners, Network Effect would have to get much faster. Looking at Bikinis, I think is a little faster than Network Effect, and I think Looking at Bikinis is a player in here. I know, I bet him in the Travers, and he got nothing. He also blew the break that day. His race at Keeneland last time was very good, and he grew a good outside stalking post. So while horses like Maximum Security and Spun to Run will be on my ticket, Looking at Bikinis, the number 9, the number 2, Bal Harbor, will be on there as well in the Cigar Mile. It's going to come down to bankroll and decisions. It's a very interesting sequence, but you've got to put some kind of ticket in. There's going to be $550,000 plus in the mandatory giveaway in the carryover. We're paying it out on Cigar Mile Day. Races 5 through 10, 20% takeout, and a 20-cent minimum. And the best way to play it? Best way to play everything. It's through NyraBets. We'll match up to a $200 deposit. Use the promo code Big A, and good luck in the Empire 6.